Welcome back to Twin Tarot. I'm Gary, and this is not David. So, I wanted to come on and do a reading about what's going on in Iran. So, the U.S. has been in negotiations with Iran to try and limit or end their nuclear program. Trump has been sending military assets out to Iran as a means of projecting force and power. He's at the same time he has got Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner as the kind of the delegation of U.S. Amongst other U.S. people there to negotiate with the Iranians. And those negotiations are, I think it's Oman is kind of acting as the intermediary. The talks are kind of like indirect. They're not talking directly to the Iranians. They're talking through a third party. So it's kind of like an arbitration almost, right? And let me make sure I've got that right. Stand by just a second here, otherwise I'm going to hear it in the comments. Yeah, it's Oman's kind of acting as the go-between there. So they're making some limited progress. They are making progress, but Trump put a kind of an ultimatum out there saying that if you don't come up with a deal in about 14 days, 10 to 14 days, I think was his time frame, the U.S. may do some limited strikes. And you know Trump, he loves to project power. He loves to play with his military toys, especially if he thinks he can get a quick, easy victory, quick, easy success with little loss on his, little risk on his part. Just like what they did in Venezuela, right? No real U.S. casualties. I think someone in the comments said that there was one sailor that might have been injured or killed, but it wasn't as a direct result of the attack on Venezuela. There were a bunch of Venezuelans that died, but Congress doesn't give a shit about that, right? As long as no U.S. troops are dying as a result of it, I guess it's okay. And I'm concerned that Trump is going to be all chuffed up and buoyed by his military success in Venezuela and try the same crap in Iran in order to leverage, force Iran into making concessions that they otherwise wouldn't make. The ironic part of all of this was, the Iranians had a diplomatic resolution with the United States. It was just brokered by President Obama. And, Trump basically bombed his way out of that agreement. He broke the agreement, then bombed him with the help of Israel. And that was supposed to eliminate all of their ability to produce nuclear weapons and uranium enrichment. Apparently not if they're in negotiations, right? So I'm just curious, what's it look like with the U.S. and Iranian negotiations, entertainment purposes only? The tough part that Trump's going to run into is that MAGA's not going to be very happy if he starts yet another conflict in the Middle East, or just another war when he rode on the coattails of ending all wars and focusing on America first. And this kind of flies in the face of both. It's there's a Monty Python sketch where they had Eric Idle was dressed like John Lennon, and he's like, I want to start a war for peace. And that's kind of what Trump is doing. He must have paid too much attention to that. Okay, entertainment purposes only. What's the current situation in Iran with the negotiations over their nuclear program? Okay, Seven of Pentacles. It's looking towards the future about what assets and what things of value they want, what they want their, basically what do they want their future to look like. This is what we have at our feet right now. This is what we could be having in the future, and that could be right either way. You know, Kushner and Witkoff could be telling them, oh, well, if you get rid of this, we'll give you all of this in the future. This could be lifting sanctions. This could be investment in Iran to, build a freaking 5-star resort. Because you know how Trump is. He loves real estate development. This could also be Iran looking at, okay, these are our bargaining chips now. What bargaining chips do we have in the future? Okay, let's keep going. So what's the situation look like in Iran right now? The challenge is the death card. That could be literal. Limited strike going to an extended war. It could also be that if we don't negotiate in good faith, this could be the end of our leadership or the end of our nuclear enrichment program. Or they could just simply be waiting for Trump to kick off because they know his health isn't good. I'm sure they know better than the most Americans what Trump's health is. So once again, it's kind of opened up. Energy underneath is the world. It's the end of a cycle. The world card's about everything coming around full circle, coming to the completion of the cycle. To me, this is kind of like, we had a peace agreement before. We had an understanding and, having civilian inspectors come out and make sure the nuclear program is doing what it says. It's for creating electricity and power and not weapons. So the energy underneath is Trump's just trying to get it back to where it was before he blew everything up. Or maybe the Iranians just want everything to go back to the way it was before. In the past, perfect. You've got the Four of Pentacles. This is my Trump card. Trump being selfish. Trump wanting all the headlines, wanting all of the power, all the things of value. Gold, gold, gold. Mine, mine, mine. This is just Trump feeding his own ego. Because he has to undo everything Obama did because Obama was, in his mind, the worst, most ineffective president ever. And Biden's a close second, right? He's just... Obama lives in Trump's mind rent-free. And Trump is on a quest to get rid of anything that had Obama's fingerprints on. Current energy, you've got the Nine of Pentacles. Well, you've got Witkoff and Kushner out there in Iran. So you got your wealthy women out there negotiating with the Iranians. So, sarcasm aside, current energy is the Nine of Pentacles. This is like, hey, we can enjoy the finer things in life. It could also be, the U.S., showing that, hey, you guys are struggling. You've got protests. You've got you're running out of water. You're running out of power. You're running out of time. Really, things aren't going well for the leadership in Iran. Revolution is in the air, and we're just sitting pretty. We got all the resources and all the luxuries in the world. We got plenty of time. Overarching energy is the Hanged Man. Okay, so Major Arcana. This is about looking at things in a different way, taking a different perspective on things. One way this card can sort of make sense is if you're in the middle of peace negotiations and you do some limited military strikes. That's definitely a different way of conducting peace negotiations, right? Usually it's after the peace negotiations have failed, you do your nuclear strike. And it could be one of those things, the Iranians understand that Trump is very likely to do a military strike in the middle of negotiations. Lesson to be learned is the Page of Wands. You need to change your messaging and maybe look at your actions in a different way, in a fresh new way. Outcome, Nine of Pentacles. sit back and see what happens. To me, it's kind of a peace offering. So I'm not getting anything on these cards that would suggest that Trump is imminently ready to do any kind of military strike, which is interesting because Gary the analyst would be like, "Oh hell yes, he's chomping at the bit to get his pile a bunch of missiles in there, and just prove to the world that the U.S. is number one and Iran really can't do much about it." But those cards seem to say that the negotiations are probably are making enough progress to stop that for now, to stop any kind of military aggression by the United States on Iran. As I record this at 5:45 p.m. on Thursday, February 26th. Okay. The thing that kind of made me go, huh? Is why is Jared Kushner there? I thought he was dead. I thought he was, he and Ivanka were too busy, spending all the Saudi money that he's managing. How does he have time to go out there and be this envoy to the Middle East? He's such a little weasel, And Witkoff, he's no better. These two, man. It's like having the Keystone Cops out there. So ultimately, that was kind of like, I just want to bite the heads off of nails when I see stuff like that. I'm hoping that they're surrounded by a bunch of people that know what the hell they're doing and are simply guiding these two morons on the path that they need to be guided on. But let's see what's the outcome. What's the ultimate outcome of these negotiations between the U.S. and Iran? What's going to happen? What's going to happen in the future? Ten of Pentacles, cementing a legacy. I think these negotiations seem to be like they're going to be successful. The cross is the Eight of Swords. The Iranians really just don't have any other choice but to give in, is how I'm interpreting that. The energy underneath is the Page of Swords, because Trump's willing. He's young enough. He's got the maturity level of a young boy, and he's more than willing to use force to get what he wants. It's like, come, bring on the fight. I'll do it. He doesn't. He's so tactical. He doesn't think long term. One thing the Iranians do is they definitely are more. They're playing the long game here. But right now it looks like we're going to cement a legacy because the Iranians don't have really a way out, and they recognize that Trump he's crazy enough to do it. In the past, you have the seven of wands. So what's the ultimate result of this? This is defending your actions. Probably the Iranians saying, "Hey, we weren't enriching uranium. We weren't doing it. We were doing it for power." Or Trump saying, "Hey, we're gonna take action against you. You can't defend yourself against us, so we'll do it again. We've proved you can't defend against us attacking you." More wands. Current energy is the Nine of Wands. Just wanting this to be over with. Have these tired of the actions that are being taken against us. Just overall fatigue and wanting everything to come to an end. Overarching energies, the King of Pentacles, just having the power and the resources. You have the ability, you have the power, you have the resources. Lesson to be learned is the Six of Swords. Just if you make this agreement, we will go away. Or we can help you make your problems go away. And you just got to agree to our terms. Outcome, King of Swords. A harsh truth, hey, I've got the money, I've got the resources, I've got the assets, I'm holding most of the cards here. I can make you go away, or you can make us go away. It's just how do you want to play this, right? And the truth is, I have the ability and I have the maturity to make it happen. Okay, so what I'm getting out of this is it's the Iranians are going, at least the way the energy is right now, and the way I'm interpreting the cards, the Iranians are going to play ball with this. Once again, I'm not feeling like there's a military strike, but I will ask that. It looks like these negotiations will be successful, and that we will be able to move on. Will Trump need to actively use his military assets in Iran to get what he wants? We'll just do a little four-carder. Will he need to use his military assets? High Priestess, secrets to be revealed and a knowledge. Knight of Wands. So it's basically, maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I'm ready to take action. Trump doesn't like being called a taco, and he's willing to take action. It's better off if we find a path forward. A lot of major arcana on this, and I've got all the power and the resources. It's up to you to figure out if I'm telling the truth. Figure out what path do you want to move forward with. So is he going to use it? I think it's just more the threat of it. The threat of using it's enough. How is the government of Iran, what does it look like after this is done? So how is the government of Iran looking like after this is done? Trump held all the cards, and they're out. They're out. They're out in the cold, as it were. Main clarifier, Two of Wands, taking actions that will affect the future. Looking out in the future. The Emperor, that's Trump, is dictating terms. And Temperance, trying to find a balance from this. What's the linkage? And the linkage is the Hangman. Just looking at things differently. I'm not. What I'm getting from this is not necessarily the longevity of the current government. It's just that they had to give in. They just didn't have the resources to fight this. And basically, let's look towards our future and what actions we could take to our future. We got this emperor that's breathing down our necks, that's threatening to bomb us, and we don't know if he's serious, if he's going to take action. And right now, maybe it's better to try and find a balance and find time, detox and de-escalate this situation. Once again, the Iranians play the long game, and right now they're kind of politically in a bit of a sticky situation there. Trump's just chomping on the bit to give me a reason to release some military assets on you. Okay, well, that's what I got for that. Probably wake up tomorrow and find out I'm completely wrong, but hey, that's how it goes, right? Guys, I hope you're all having a great day. I truly appreciate you. If you like these videos, feel free to subscribe, give it a thumbs up. I know we've got some new viewers out there, and I'm glad to have you along. Dave and I will probably do some recordings over the weekend, and then you'll see Dave shortly. But until then, I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.